Hello, Ian here, Fantastic Dimensions. This is a video response to David Semmes, the RPG tag that's been going around. This is the version that has about 15 questions, which I will try to answer to the best of my ability, and then I will tag a few other people that will hopefully do the same. Kicking right off, the first question is, what was the first system you played? So the first system that I ever played was, I believe, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, the first edition of that system. It was 1981, I'm fairly certain. I think I was about 4 years old, and I'd been begging my dad to let me play after having watched him and his friends play it for quite some time. What was your first character? And obviously these two questions are tied together. My first character, which I played in that game, was a paladin. And it was a paladin or a knight. I can't remember exactly what it was called at that time in that edition. This was a long time ago. But I remember I picked it out because he had a bunch of pewter minis, my father. And it was an unpainted one at the time. Anyway, I remember it was just pewter. It didn't have any colors on it. But it had this guy in full plate mail armor with a closed helm, and he was wielding a two-handed flail. And I just thought it looked really cool and really badass. And so I'd been begging my dad to let me play. He said, yeah, okay, fine, pick a character. I chose that mini. And then I killed a dragon, of course, because, what are you going to do? Kill your 4-year-old son the first time he plays Dungeons and Dragons? Nah. So question number 3 is, what is your favorite system? Well, this is a question that could have changing answers over time, but currently I am 100% addicted to Fate Core. It's just kind of dominating my role-playing game studies and time at the moment. I'm just fascinated by it and really enjoying the versatility of it. And I've been playing a lot of great games. I'm very fortunate to have a lot of really good gamer friends that are also really into Fate. So we've been having a blast together. So I'm really addicted to that. It's interfering with other things that I planned to do gaming-wise this year, one of which, or maybe both of which, will be mentioned later. Number 4 is, what is your favorite character that you've played, a PC or an NPC? Wow, I've played so many because I've been a dungeon master for most of my gaming career, or a games master when I did eventually branch into different gaming systems. There's been so many different characters I've played, but let's just talk about some player characters because I've been playing a lot more recently thanks to the tabletop RPG one-shot group. I've been getting the opportunity to play in games a lot more. So a character that jumps out to my mind, actually there's 2 I'm going to mention. Maybe that's cheating, but I don't care. This is my channel. I'll cheat if I want. One was, and they were both in Fate Core games. One was named Yurei, and Yurei was my character for Lloyd Collins's Shogun Assassin Fate Core one-shot. It was very, definitely full of tropes, and he was very kind of, I suppose, movie stereotype kind of character for, all the samurai revenge films and things of that sort. Yurei was he was a Ronin. He was a shamed samurai because his master had been killed. His master's entire clan had been pretty much annihilated. Yurei was unfortunate enough to actually survive the fall of his lord, and as such he felt completely dishonored and disgraced. And actually my introduction scene for the character was him setting up to do the ritual seppuku and take his own life, but he couldn't do it, and instead he went on a vengeance spree against the shogun and all of his allies. So, and then another character that I've really enjoyed was the one I just played last night. Chepe over at the Fawn Trident channel was running a noir style Fate Core game called, I think it was called These Smoky Streets or something, or Smoke-Filled Streets was the title of the game. And I played a hardened homicide detective who was on suspension for using excessive force. And originally, my idea for the character was that he would be kind of he's a dirty cop, but at the same time, he was going to have this whole kind of street honor kind of system. And, I don't know if in my mind I was thinking maybe he would kind of redeem himself through his actions or something. But my goal was for him to kind of not be a really bad guy, but also to not be a really good guy. I was thinking of him as kind of as a future vigilante type or something like that. But what ended up happening through the course of the game and just the way things played out, the people he got involved in, the job he went on, the fact that he was hopelessly addicted to drugs and he was running out of money and he became very desperate. Instead, he took a different turn. He took a turn for the worse, and he became a really bad guy before the end of this one-shot session. Just stealing money to buy drugs. At one stage, when he finally just cracked, he actually went into a liquor store, robbed. Well, he didn't rob the place. He actually talked to the clerk for a minute, and then he shot the clerk, killed him, and robbed him. A, because he needed money so he could buy drink, smokes, drugs, etc. But also B, because he was at that stage curious as to what the other how the other kind lived. The criminals, the crooks, the career criminals. So he decided to commit a cold-blooded murder and rob the liquor store in the process. And then, of course, that session ended with him attempting to kill a cop and killed a banker. So I guess he wasn't all bad. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun. So that character, that was just last night, and so that character is still really fresh in my brain. It was a really interesting player character experience. Least favorite character you've played. This is question 5. PC for player and PC for GM. So I actually have a player character answer for this because I don't think I have a least favorite NPC. I tend to enjoy all of my NPCs. But I had a player character during the Dungeons & Dragons, the D&D Next playtest era that I was playing. This guy was going to, I had been GMing for this group, and I didn't want to GM all the time. So this other guy stepped forward and said he was going to Dungeon Master a series. So I said, that's great. I'll make a character. And I made what I thought was a really cool, really, just a simple character to play, but a character that I was going to really enjoy playing for a change. It was a dwarven barbarian. And my idea for the character was this guy was going to be drunken and obnoxious, just loud, disgusting, just your real stereotypical alcoholic dwarven berserker kind of character, I'd say it'd be kind of fun after GMing for ages, just to kind of kick back and enjoy this kind of simple but colorful character. Unfortunately, the guy who took over as the Dungeon Master, he wanted to tell a story, which is great. That's a big part of what we do as Dungeon Masters is tell stories, but this guy had a real railroady way of telling a story, and to the point to where if you were doing things or acting in ways that he didn't like, he would find in-game ways to punish you and to slap you kind of with it. So he stuck us right away in this really hoity-toity kind of elven city, if I recall correctly, like full of temples and just like all prim and proper and beautiful and angelic and clean. And so my character, of course, stood out like a sore thumb. But I thought, okay, I can enjoy this anyway. He'll be, an oddity here. He's going to be this brash, drunken, obnoxious dwarf who walks around scratching himself, farting, belching, pissing all over the place. Well, the Dungeon Master didn't appreciate the way my dwarf was behaving, and so he decided to bring the wrath of the gods down on me for some reason, and he made my character allergic to alcohol. Now, the way I've been playing this character was that, he pretty much woke up and drank his breakfast. If he wasn't drunk, he would have been almost at a disadvantage. You know what I mean? He had to constantly have a bit of a buzz going on, or else he just wouldn't be himself, So that really sucked. It really hamstrung my character. The GM or DM was obviously annoyed with me, which was bizarre. But he was obviously mad at me and punishing me. It was clear to me and everybody else at the table. And I don't think I made it through a full session. Maybe I did. I can't remember. It was the second session. I think it was the first session anyway that I just quit the game, and I told the guy basically that I thought he was being a lousy dungeon master and that I wasn't interested in playing with him anymore, and I left the group. So, least favorite character, it was my least favorite player character experience for sure. I think there was nothing wrong with the character that I made. I think the character could have been fun in the right game, in the right scenario, but just the dungeon master was kind of shitty and didn't want to work with me. So, say la vie, moved on. Favorite world is question 6. Now, this is going to be a bit of a surprise, kind of, I suppose, well, maybe not to you if you don't know who I am and haven't been gaming with me for 30-some years, but it's a surprise to me because as I was looking at these questions and thinking about it, and I was trying to think, what is my favorite world? And it's actually a world I've only discovered in recent months, and that would be the late 21st century Earth of Shadowrun. I never played Shadowrun in my life until I got in some games with Thomas Stansfield over at Something About Tabletop back in, I think it was November, might have been October. I think it was probably November or so. And since then I've played, and I think I've done 10 or 11 runs maybe, and I really, really like the game. I really love the setting. The world is fascinating. So that's going to be my favorite world right now, I think. If it's not that, then I'd say it's, I just started doing a one-shot series for Mass Effect. And so that's not really a world per se, but it's a universe, a galaxy anyway. So, but no, I'm going to stick with Shadowrun, definitely. It's just really cool with all the VR and all the futuristic, the cyber tech and everything else. It's just pretty neat. Question number 7, your favorite die, specific die or type? Well, kind of both. I'm really digging the Fate dice mechanic just because you roll the 4 dice every time, and it's really kind of fun. I got my first set a couple weeks ago, and I've had fun just kind of playing about with them. But prior to discovering Fate, which is only recent, my favorite die actually has always been probably the least used die anyway. I love the D12. I guess because it's an oddity. It doesn't get rolled very often. There's not too many things that do D12s. So yeah, I've kind of always had a thing for the D12. I love any opportunity I get to pull it out and use it. So, question number 8, miniatures or theater of the mind? Anybody who plays in my games will not be surprised to hear me say theater of the mind. I've been running Dungeons and Dragons anyway since 1985. I did take a good long hiatus of like 8 or 9 years at one stage, but in all those decades of dungeon mastering, I don't think no, I tell a lie. I used miniatures when I was a kid, just getting started. I was 8 years old. And I used miniatures as a dungeon master with my little brother who was trying to teach to play. That's why I became a dungeon master. And they were like these little plastic or rubbery toy muscle men, they were called. You used to get them out of like the quarter machines. You put a quarter in and it spits out one of those little plastic bubble things, and you pop it open and you get your little muscle men out of there. So those, I guess you could call those miniatures. And we used those back when we first started a long time ago. But besides that, ever since I started to get kind of more mature, serious gaming, it's always been theater of the mind for me. I just don't like too many props and miniatures. I like to get into my mind rather than into the physical world around me. I like everything to be very cerebral and up here for me. That's where my creativity lies. That's where I thrive. So yeah, definitely theater of the mind for me. I got nothing against miniatures. It's cool if a lot of people like to use them, and that's great. I do love seeing, like when you see these, like the, what's it called, Acquisitions Incorporated games where they have these huge dioramas and all their little minis and stuff. It looks really neat. But yeah, for me, always theater of the mind. These next couple of questions, I'm not too keen on. Worst critical glitch or failure in a game. The reason I'm not so keen on this question is because, strangely, I don't really have one. I can't think of a critical failure or anything that I've had that really stands out in my memory. And the next question also is your best or favorite critical success in a game. Again, I don't really have one per se. I guess I'll tell a quick little story about a scenario. I was running the Horde of the Dragon Queen adventure, and I think it was in the very first chapter, because we only got through 2 or 3 chapters of that before it kind of died a death. There was a scenario where a character kind of can get in a duel with this half dragon character, and so I was the GM, the dungeon master, I should say, and I was controlling the half dragon, and my friend Conrad was playing his character, and he decided to duel with the half dragon. And I kid you not, I think it was 3 times in a row, poor Conrad rolled ones. Was he using some kind of a dice roller? Yeah, he was using some kind of an electronic dice roller, which I'm not a big fan of. I know they're handy for making videos and stuff, but you can't really get a true RNG, I don't think, from a computer, not like rolling a die would be anyway. So he rolled 3 ones in a row. And at the same time, I was role-playing the half-dragon, who was more powerful than him anyway. I don't think it's a duel that a one-on-one character is supposed to win. I rolled 2 20s in a row, and I was using physical dice. So yeah. So what ended up happening is he ended up getting like run through, dropped down to his knees. The half dragon, like, I think, he murdered him anyway. He didn't chop off his head. No, he chopped off somebody else's head later, because another character foolishly ran out and tried to kick his ass after he had just murdered Conrad's character there in front of everybody. Obviously, the other character got murdered too, but yeah. It was a very memorable recent event that involved both critical glitches and critical successes. So I don't know if I'd say it's my favorite or best. It's just the one that I remember most clearly recently. Okay, get out of that rough spot of questions there. On to question number 11. What is your favorite class or type of character to play? As mostly a career GM, again, I don't know if I necessarily favor classes and character types too much, because I tend to cover the spectrum. But as a player, I've always liked to play characters that are very useful to a party that other people don't play very often. So in the case of D&D, I like to play clerics a lot. And I'll also point out that cleric is one of the more diverse, versatile classes, I think, in Dungeons and Dragons, at least the good Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, I play clerics a lot in Dungeons and Dragons. Again, they're very useful. Every party needs them. Every party appreciates them. But what I've seen anyway, the groups and the people that I play with, oftentimes nobody else wants to be the cleric. So I play the cleric. And in Shadowrun, I've had the similar experience in that all the games I've played, in fact, all the ones that I think I've actually played, nobody else has played any kind of a hacker character, neither a decker or a technomancer or whatever. So every single session that I've played, and in fairness, I've only played 2 characters between all the sessions I've played, but one was a decker and the other is a technomancer. And I did a Shadow Fate game the other day. That was a fun little experiment that Jim Branch ran. And what did I play? I played a decker in that too. So, but again, a decker is extremely useful. It's so hard, I think, for any group that doesn't have a decker or at least a technomancer, some kind of hacker, to get on, in a Shadowrun without one anyway. So I play those characters, and they always come out to be, if not the VIP, they're definitely one of the characters that everybody goes, oh man, Jesus Christ, thank God you were there to fix that for us, or to get our ass out of there. Whatever it is, they're very useful. So yeah. Least favorite class, type of character to play, again, not really sure I have one. Oh no, I do. I fucking hate Rangers in D&D, especially Elven Rangers. And that's just because my asshole friends that I grew up playing Dungeons & Dragons with always want to play Elven Rangers. And I don't know if my sister is watching this, and so I apologize, because I know she loves to play Elven Rangers too, but I'm not talking about you, sis. I've only played a few games with you anyway. But I literally had one campaign I ran where 4 out of 5 players played a ranger. And it was a mostly urban campaign. So go figure. Yeah. I hate Elven Rangers. One system or setting that you've never played but want to. Well, there's a couple now, but specifically system or setting that I've never played but I want to. I'd be very interested in checking out Stormbringer, I think it's called, which is the BRP system for the Elric of Manibene kind of world. So I love the Elric saga books anyway. So I'd be interested in playing that system. That would be pretty fun. If not that, then I'd like to play the Mind Jammer setting for Fate sometime too. But I just haven't been willing to shell out 26 euros for the PDF when I don't know if I'll ever even read it or play it. Question 14. If you were to create yourself as a character, what would your class be? I would be a bard. I do play music. I can play a few different musical instruments, not necessarily very well, but I do know how to play a few different styles of instruments. I like to write music. I've written songs before. Again, whether or not they're any good, I guess it's just depends on who's listening to it. I don't really like it much, but that's just because, like any kind of artist or creative person, I think you tend to despise your own creations a lot for some reason. But yeah, and also I'm a storyteller. That's why I've been working as a dungeon master or GM throughout my gaming career, because I think I do it well. I don't know. People keep coming back and wanting to play my game, so I must be doing something right. So yeah, telling stories. I also play music. I'm kind of I've got a lot of skills. I know a lot of a little bit about a lot of things, but I'm not in real life. I'm not like a master of anything. So I think that really fits the bard kind of criteria. Yeah, I don't have the arcane magic skills. I wish, but yeah, maybe someday. So then the last question number 15 is, who are you going to tag? So, and I apologize if these people have already been tagged by others. I'm not really sure. I'm pretty certain some of them have, but it doesn't matter. The people that I'm going to tag and I'd like to see respond to this video, if they will, are Lloyd over at Jarl DM, Robert Ogre at the channel Robert Ogre, Josh at the Art of D20 channel. Josh, we haven't seen much out of you in a while, buddy. You gotta get back on the YouTubes, get back in some games, man. We miss you. I'd really like to see him post a reply to this video. And Michael Barker over at Be a Better Game Master. He's a recent friend of mine. I only met him in the last few months as well. But yeah, I'd be interested in hearing his kind of stories about these kind of things. So that's it. That's my RPG tag response. Thanks for tagging me, David. I was hoping that this would come around to me just because I've never done a video like this before. It looked like fun. So it was harder than I thought it would be. But yeah, I hope to get a couple of responses anyway. Thank you very much, and I will see you on the gaming table soon.